Hey guys, welcome back to Code 4. In this video, we are going to solve paper 1, May-June 2018. Before we move on, if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe Code 4 and hit that notification bell for instant updates. And please do share our channel with your friends. So without further ado, let's start.
Hey guys, welcome back to Reducing the Given Data. In this video, we are going to use AI
and low level language.
that is security and ethics.
The seventh question is, consider the logic statement x is equal to 1 if, and they have given us a logic statement. A, draw a logic circuit to represent the given logic statement. So for the given logic statement x equal to 1 if A and all this, we have to draw the logic circuit here. I am not going to draw it here in this PDF, but instead I'll be doing it in a website called logic.ly. So let's just start. So what they have said us is x is equal to 1 if a is 1. So let me just fix a few buttons, toggle buttons. A, this is going to be B, and this is going to be C. So A is 1 and B is not 1. So A is 1, A is 1 and B is not 1, they are told. So B should be connected to a NOT gate, and the NOT gate's output should be connected to this AND gate. And then they have said us A is 1 and B is not 1, NAND C is 1. So we have to get a NAND gate and then connect this AND gate's output to this input and this C to this input. And then XOR, they have said A is 1 and C is 1. So A is 1 and C is 1. So let's add an AND gate. A is 1 and C is also 1, and this output should be connected to a OR gate. So let's take a OR gate and we have to connect this output and the B gate to this input, and we have to connect these both outputs to an XOR gate. So I'm dragging the XOR gate and these two are being sent here. And then I am fixing a light bulb to see whether the output is 1 or 0. If the light is on, then that means the output is 1. If the light is off, that means the output is 0. So this is going to be the logic circuit for the given logic statement. And the big question is, complete the truth table for the given logic statement, and we can just do this easily with this help itself. So first, the input of A, B and C are all 0 and the output is 1. So x is equal to 1 for this. And in a second case, A is 0, B is 0 and C is 1. So we have to on the switch here. So for this also, the output is 1. And in the third case, 0 1 0. So it's going to be 0 1 and then a 0. So the output here is 0. And in the fourth case, 0 1 1. So A is 0, B is 1 and C is also 1. And even in this case, the output is 0. In the fifth case, 1 0 0. C is 0, B is 0 and A is 1. And in this case, X is 1. And in the sixth case, 1 0 1. A is 1, B is 0, C is 1. And even in this case, the X is 0. And in the seventh case, 1 1 0. A is 1, B is 1, C is 0. And in this case, X is 0. And in the last and final case, everything is 1. A is 1, B is 1 and C is also 1. And in this case, the X is 0. So hereby we have completed the truth table for this given logic statement. Since I have had the help of the website logic.ly, I was able to complete this values of x very easily. But in the examination, you will not have this advantage. So what you can do is you can just substitute. like say 0 0. For the first case, I'm just doing 0 0 0. So what happens is, first the B gate goes through this NOT gate, so it becomes 1. So 0 and 1 in the AND gate will give you a 0. So 0 and 0 in an AND gate will give you 1, and 1 and 0 in a XOR gate will give you a 1. So that way the result is going to be 1. So this is how you will be working out in the examination. But since I had this website available for me here now, I have used it. So that's it for the logic gates question. Let's move on to the next question. Coming to the eighth question, Dim3 is writing a computer program in a high level language. He needs to send just the machine code for the program to his friend electronically. It is important that the program is executed as quickly as possible. Identify which translator will be more suitable for Dim3 to use. Explain your choice. So the first one they are asking is the type of translator. So to convert an high level language into to like sort of execute an high level language, there are two types of translator which can be used, which are compiler and an interpreter. And in the second line they have said this just the machine code for the program to his friend. He just need to send the machine code for the program to his friend. So the machine code or the executable file will only be produced in an compiler. The interpreter will just execute the program line by line. It will not produce any sort of executable file or a machine code. So the type of translator which can be used is only the compiler. And the explanation is going to be once the program is done and once it is compiled, it doesn't need to be recompiled again and again. So the compiled program can be executed without a compiler therefore, and this will obviously mean the program can run faster, and the executable file can also be sent to the person who can just run it on his own computer without any sort of a compiler or an interpreter. He just needs an OS to run that executable file. So this is the end of eighth question. Let's move on to the ninth question. The ninth question is, an advertisement in a magazine displays this barcode. A. Identify this type of barcode. So this is a QR code. So if you take a barcode, it will be just like black and white lines arranged in a sequence. But this is not a barcode, it is a QR code. And the B question is, explain how the data stored in this barcode is read. So these QR code in the advertisement or in the magazine can be scanned using your mobile, which then the camera that is used, that is in your mobile, will capture the image of this QR code, and these three squares which you can see here in this QR code is used to align the barcode in a proper manner so that it can be processed to get the data out of it. And to process or get the data out of it, the camera will use the principle, a basic physics principle, which is black squares reflect less light and white squares reflect more light. So if you write this, you can easily get 5 marks out of this ninth question. So let's move on to the 10th question now. So the 10th question is, Alexandra has a new mobile. It has a touchscreen that uses capacitive technology. A. Describe how a capacitive touchscreens register Alexandra's touch. So before looking into the question, if you doesn't know how a touchscreen, this capacitive touchscreen works, please make sure that you look into our input and output devices video in the Code 4 channel. So moving on with the question, um, in the capacitive touchscreen, there will be something called as a conductive layer in it. The conductive layer will generate an electric field around it. So, and there will be sensors around the screen or around the conductive layer to monitor the electric or the electrostatic field in it. When you touch the conductive layer or the touch screen, what happens is that the charge of the electric field will be transferred to your finger, thereby disturbing the electric field or the electrostatic charge in the conductive layer. And that change or that disturbance will be captured by the sensors, and the values of the sensors will be fed to the microprocessor, where the microprocessor will precisely tell you at which location, at which coordinates the touch has been registered in the phone. And the B question is Alexandra is wearing gloves because it is cold. She presses an icon on her touchscreen, but her action is not registered. Explain why the touchscreen will not register her touch. As said, in the capacitive touchscreen, there should be a change in electric field or in the electrostatic field so that the sensors can detect the disturbance and then calculate the coordinates of where the disturbance has occurred. But since she is wearing gloves, there will be no change in the electric field. Thereby, we cannot tell where she has touched at all. The second is Alexandra does not want to remove her gloves. Explain how Alexandra could use her mobile phone while still wearing gloves. She could. There are actually many ways. She could actually use a stylus or an conductive gloves so that the electric field can be disturbed to give an input to the phone. So this is it for the 10th question. Let's move on to the 11th question. The 11th question is a factory uses a security system to control a security light. The system uses a sensor and a microprocessor. Explain how the security system makes use of the sensors and a microprocessor to control the security system. So for this particular application, sensors like motion or infrared can be used, and the data from these sensors are actually analog. So you have to to feed it into the microprocessor, you have to turn it into digital, which can be done using the help of ADC. And once these information from the sensors are fed into the microprocessor will be comparing the inputted values or the values from the sensor with its pre-stored values. So if the values of the inputted value or the values from the sensors are within range, then the microprocessor will just continue with its own work. But if the values are out of range, then the security lights will be turned on, and then and then it will just wait for some suitable or some amount of time until no motion is detected, after which the security light will just turn off. And this process is totally continuous, which means it will just be repeating again and again. Coming to the last question of this paper, 12A. Selma has some important personal information that she needs to send to her employer. She wants to make sure that if the personal information is intercepted, it cannot be understood. First, state how Selma could email her personal data more securely. She can use something called the encryption. So, describe how your chosen solution works. Here, so we have to describe how encryption works. So encryption is like the personal information which is going to send is just a plain text before encryption, but she can just encrypt it using an encryption algorithm with the help of a key. With using a key, where the encrypted text of her personal details is now called a cipher text, which doesn't make any meaning at all. It is just scrambled words or something that doesn't make any sense at all. So once the cipher text is transmitted to her employer, then after transmission, the employer can decrypt the cipher text with the help of the key. The key can be separately sent to the employer. So after decryption, the cipher text will now make sense where the cipher text will be converted back to the original form. So BS Selma wants to make sure that the information received is correct. A parity check can be used to detect errors. Describe another error detection method that can be used to check the information received is correct. There are many ways that we can check an error. In this case, I have chosen a checksum, and there are also something called as ARQ, which is automatic repeat request. So for this case, for now I have chosen checksum. So to tell how a checksum works, the checksum will just calculate some. It will just do some mathematical operations and calculate a number out of the data that you are going to send, and that calculated checksum will be sent along with the data to the receiver, and the receiver will be recalculating that checksum for the transmitted data, and that checksum will be compared with the original checksum which was sent with the data. If both the checksums are correct, then that means there is no error in it. But if the checksums are wrong, if they doesn't match, then that means an error is present in the transmission. So this is it, guys. We have now come to the end of the paper. Hope you understood. If you have any doubts, please feel free to comment below, and Thank you as always. Keep supporting us. Thank you.